The scale is the devil. That may sound like a very strong statement, but hear me out. I have been in a battle with the scale since I was 8 years old. The scale, this little plastic thing on the floor, has been my nemesis. It has been used to try to calculate my worth, my weight, and the value and health of my body. I call absolute bullshit. And I think that it would be in everyone's best interest to take the scale, fire it, and throw it out. When I was 8, I know I talked about this when I first started Socket in some of my earlier podcasts, but I was put on the scale and told by my doctor that I needed to lose 15 pounds. I was an athlete, I was rock solid muscle, but I always just weighed more. So he put me on the scale, he looked at my weight, he looked at my height, he looked at where those lines intersected and said, she needs to lose 15 pounds. And that started me down a road of low calorie dieting, increasing my overall activity, even though I was doing 2 to 3 hours of diving, swimming, gymnastics a day. And it started me down a path of having an unhealthy relationship with food. We weren't allowed in my household to eat any sugar almost any part of the week, but we were allowed one candy bar per Friday night. And I remember looking forward to that Friday night so much. And the deprivation of not being able to have anything caused me to try to trade people at school. And if I went over to friends' houses, I would raid their pantry. I know I've also mentioned some of my friends on vacation that we used to go on every year created a song called Cathy in the Kitchen, because when we were on vacation, we were allowed to eat whatever we wanted. So it was always my favorite 2 weeks of the year. And I would stuff myself till I was sick because I wasn't able to eat those things normally. Anyway, if you track my life in the last couple of decades with my relationship with food, my relationship with my weight, and my relationship with the scale, I can go back and see so many parts or so many points in my life where the scale was such an unhealthy thing in my life. My Right at my wedding day, I had lost probably about 30 pounds, and I was at a weight that I can't even imagine being at now. But I was so consumed with what that weight was, and I was working out 2 hours a day. I wasn't eating any sugar. I wasn't drinking any alcohol. And I dropped all this weight. I actually took my scale to the hotel that I was getting married at to weigh myself the day of my wedding. That's not a healthy relationship. There have been other times in my life where I have been doing an awesome job taking care of myself. I've been sleeping well, I've been drinking tons of water, exercising regularly, eating really healthy foods, and I know I'm losing weight. And in the beginning, when you do that, you always start losing some weight because you're dropping water weight, and it seems super happy because you get on the scale like, oh, I lost 3 pounds. You didn't technically lose 3 pounds from the day before. It's not technically possible as far as actual fat loss, but it reflects on the scale and it gives you that positive interaction with it and a little boost of I lost weight. I remember it was 8 or 9 years ago. I got up one morning and I felt awesome. I felt so much energy. I felt my clothes were fitting. I felt tighter. I felt fitter. I felt happier. And I was so excited to go get on that scale because I knew that it would be less. And I jump on the scale and I'm 3 pounds higher than I was the day before. Again, you can't physically gain 3 pounds of fat one day to the next, but between water weight and your period and all kinds of other issues, that scale can reflect those changes that just don't really represent what's going on in your body. I was so pissed off because my entire day was ruined. I let that $25 piece of crap on the floor control my day because that number didn't give me the satisfaction that I knew I should have. I woke up knowing how I felt. I woke up sure of the fact that my body was healthier than it had been in the following week or the previous weeks. And I let those efforts be thwarted by this stupid number on a scale. And at that point, I ended up just going off of the good eating. I wasn't exercising. It was kind of like, well, what the hell's the point? If I'm going to be this quote unquote good, then I should see this on the scale. I was using the scale as almost the only qualifying factor of my success at losing weight or at becoming healthier. Shortly after that, I actually took this scale and I wrote, "You're fired" on it. I have that picture. It's terrible quality because I took it on probably a flip phone that I had way back then when, and I posted it somewhere and it showed up as a Facebook memory recently. So that was the first thing that reminded me that I wanted to come on and talk about this. Another thing that happened was my friend Erica texted me and my friend Patty today. They've both been on the Socket podcast, are really good friends of mine. And she was like, "Cathy, did you actually like throw away your scale? Did you actually fire your scale?" She said, "I have been doing such a great job. I've been working out, I've been eating well, I've been taking care of myself, and the scale in a couple weeks is just not budging." She goes, "That being said," she says, "everything fits better and I feel tight," meaning she feels more toned. And so she sent me this text and I wrote back and I copied those two sentences and I put little stars and asterisks. I said back to her, "Everything fits better and I feel tight." I said, "That is the scale that you need to go off of. You feel better. You know your clothes fit better. You know when you're going in the right direction or the wrong direction. You're not an idiot. You know when you are taking care of yourself. Don't let a scale that happens to say it's 2 pounds lower that day give you some false sense of, oh, I'm doing a good job, if you know you've been eating crap and not moving your butt the past couple of weeks. It's not real." Now, there are some instances where a scale can be helpful. It definitely depends on who you are as a person and how you can take in those fluctuations. Because if you can jump on the scale and it's 3 pounds higher and you know that that's not the case, you're getting your period, and you can jump off of it, and every day you can kind of track the progress and you don't get emotionally thrown off or mentally thrown off by those fluctuations, then have at it. But I bet if you polled 1,000 women on whether or not their relationship with their scale is a healthy one or not, I bet you 98% would say it's not. I bet 98% of 100, 98 out of, or sorry, 980 out of 1,000 would say that they have been caused stress from the scale. They have been confused by the scale. They have been set off their healthy path by the scale. And I think there is a collective problem within our society of how much people weigh. I find it interesting when I have patients who are athletes, and let's say they're 5'5" and they look gorgeous. I mean, to me, I'm like, man, I would kill to have their body. And they're like, "You won't believe it, but I weigh 175 pounds." And I'm like, "Oh, I believe it. You're an athlete. You have muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat." People have different body structures. Their bones are different. Everything weighs different for different people. To have this thought process that somehow every sexy, thin woman weighs 125 pounds is just not true. Most women out there weigh way more than what a lot of people may think, because for me at least, back in the 80s and 90s, 125 seemed to be a weight that always was shown when anytime a scale was on. So in my mind, to be a happy, healthy, sexy woman, I should be 125 pounds. I will tell you, I am not 125 pounds. Even if I got to the lowest weight that would be healthy for me, I would be tens of pounds over that. It just wouldn't be something that I could sustain at my height and my body structure. So I want to challenge you to think about it. For some of you, I've said this over the years a couple of times, and some women are like, "Oh my God, I could never do that." And some go, maybe I should give that a try. Now, I fired my scale all those years back, and I didn't weigh myself. I didn't even look when I went to the doctor. I'm like, you know what? This just isn't gonna, why is this gonna work for me? But I had been tricked back into buying a scale. And for a period of time, I felt it was helpful. I was also really dedicated to taking weight off and getting healthier. But then as I kind of got to some of those plateaus, it threw me off again. So I put it away. And then last year, Jason and I were kind of working out together, trying to lose weight together. And I got tricked back in, not by Jason, but by myself, tricked back into pulling that scale back out. And it was really encouraging until it wasn't. And so today I am telling you, I am not going to get on the scale again. I know when my body feels healthy. I know when it feels unhealthy. I know when I'm putting in fuel and food into my body that that's bringing life, and I know when I'm putting crap into my body that's dragging me down. I know when I'm hydrating. I know when I'm having too many drinks per week. I know. I know how I'm taking care of myself, and that reflects in energy, in sleep, in how my clothes fit, how my skin looks, how much energy I have. It all pours out in those ways. So from now on, I will always judge myself off of how I feel and not what a number on a little piece of plastic says. It shouldn't have that much power over us. It just shouldn't. So I challenge you to give it some thought. If you're able to throw your scale out, send me a picture of it with a note on it says you're fired, and send it to me email or through Facebook. You can find me at Simply Socket everywhere, and my email is Cathy@simplysocket.com. I would love to have many of you join me in this. I think collectively it would help all of our mental health statuses to get rid of this thing that doesn't judge what we think it's supposed to judge. Have a great day.